The History of Scotland, Part 6, Union and the Jacobite Risings, 1603 to 1746. The 17th and 18th centuries brought Scotland both union and upheaval. The crowns of Scotland and England were united under one monarch, but the two kingdoms remained uneasy partners. And in the Highlands, loyalty to the ancient Stuart dynasty fueled a series of bloody uprisings known as the Jacobite Risings, which would end in tragedy at Culloden. 1603, the Union of the Crowns. In 1603, the death of Elizabeth I of England without an heir changed everything. Her closest relative was her cousin, James VI of Scotland, the son of Mary, Queen of Scots. James travelled south to become James I of England, uniting the crowns of Scotland and England. For the first time, one monarch ruled the whole of the British Isles. Yet this was not a political union. Scotland and England remained separate kingdoms with their own parliaments, laws and churches. James dreamed of full unity, but resistance in both nations was strong. Still, this union of the crowns was the first step toward a new Britain. 17th century turmoil, civil wars and division. The 1600s were an age of religious conflict and civil war. Scotland's official church was Presbyterian, but the Stuart kings often favoured Anglican or Catholic practices, causing deep resentment. In the 1630s, Charles I tried to impose the English prayer book on the Scottish Kirk. Outraged, Scots signed the National Covenant in 1638, vowing to defend their Presbyterian faith. The Covenanters, as they were known, fought against royal armies during the wars of the Three Kingdoms, the English Civil Wars. Charles I was executed in 1649, and Scotland briefly supported his son, Charles II, before Oliver Cromwell's armies invaded. Scotland was occupied until the monarchy was restored in 1660. Religious strife lingered throughout the century, laying the ground for the conflicts to come. 1707, the Act of Union. By the late 1600s, Scotland was economically fragile. The disastrous Darien scheme, an attempt to establish a Scottish colony in Panama, bankrupted many nobles and investors. Meanwhile, England wanted to secure its northern border and prevent Scotland from forming an alliance with France, its old enemy. In 1707, the Act of Union was passed. The Scottish and English parliaments merged to form the Parliament of Great Britain, meeting at Westminster. Supporters argued union brought access to England's colonies and booming trade. Opponents saw it as betrayal, selling Scotland's independence. Crowds rioted in Edinburgh, shouting "No Union!" Despite anger, the Act held. Scotland had entered into political union with England. The Jacobite cause. Not all Scots accepted the new Britain. Many, especially in the Highlands, remained loyal to the exiled House of Stuart, descendants of Mary, Queen of Scots, and James II of England, who had been overthrown in 1688's Glorious Revolution. The name Jacobite came from Jacobus, the Latin for James. The Jacobites sought to restore the Stuarts to the throne. Their cause was not just dynastic, it was bound up with Catholic loyalty, Highland clan pride, and opposition to English dominance. The Jacobite Risings, the Rising of 1715. In 1714, the Protestant George I of Hanover became King of Britain, bypassing dozens of closer Catholic heirs. This inflamed Jacobite hopes. In 1715, John Erskine, Earl of Mar, raised the clans in support of James Francis Edward Stuart, the Old Pretender. At first, thousands gathered under Jacobite banners. But poor leadership and hesitation doomed the rising. At the Battle of Sheriffmuir 1715, the Jacobites fought government forces to a standstill but failed to secure victory. James himself landed in Scotland, but his lack of charisma disappointed his followers. By early 1716, the rebellion collapsed. The Rising of 1719. In 1719, a smaller rising, backed by Spanish troops, was crushed at the Battle of Glenshiel. The Jacobite cause survived, but barely. The Rising of 1745, Bonnie Prince Charlie. The most famous Jacobite rising came in 1745, led by Charles Edward Stuart, the Young Pretender, known romantically as Bonnie Prince Charlie. In July 1745, Charles landed in the Hebrides with only a handful of men. Many chiefs hesitated, but some Highland clans, MacDonalds, Camerons and Stuarts, rallied to him. His army captured Edinburgh and triumphed at the Battle of Prestonpans, routed government forces. Spirits soared. The Jacobites marched into England, reaching Derby, only 125 miles from London. Panic gripped the English court, but without French support or English Jacobite risings, the chiefs urged retreat. Charles fell back into Scotland, winning at Falkirk Muir, 1746, but pursued by government forces. 1746, the Battle of Culloden. The end came on the 16th of April 1746 at Culloden Moor, near Inverness. The Jacobite army, exhausted and starving, faced the well-supplied forces of the Duke of Cumberland, son of King George II. The Highlanders charged with their traditional claymores, but the government troops held firm. Artillery and disciplined musket fire mowed them down. The battle lasted less than an hour. Thousands of Jacobites lay dead or dying. Culloden was a massacre. It was the last pitched battle fought on British soil. Aftermath: the destruction of the Highlands. The aftermath was brutal. Determined to crush the Jacobite spirit forever, the government unleashed repression across the Highlands. Executions and imprisonment. Rebel leaders were hanged or transported to the colonies. The Dress Act 1746, wearing Highland dress, including tartan and kilts, was banned for all but the army. Bagpipes, classified as a weapon of war, playing them was forbidden. Clan power broken, hereditary chiefs lost judicial rights, clan lands were confiscated. Gaelic suppression. The Gaelic language and culture were discouraged. Schools spread English. The traditional clan system, which had survived for centuries, was dismantled. For Highland families, the world changed forever. What followed was hardship, emigration, and the beginning of the Highland clearances in the later 18th and 19th centuries. Between 1603 and 1746, Scotland was transformed. The union of the crowns bound it to England. The Act of Union made it part of Great Britain, and the Jacobite risings ended the ancient dream of restoring the Stuarts. Culloden marked not only the defeat of a rebellion, but the death of a way of life. The Highlands, once proud, fierce and free, were subdued, their tartans banned, their bagpipes silenced. Yet in memory, song and legend, the Jacobite cause lived on. The romantic figure of Bonnie Prince Charlie, the courage of the clans, and the tragedy of Culloden became part of Scotland's soul. Symbols of resilience, defiance, and loss. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed learning more wonderful Scottish history. The next part will be coming very soon. Please like and share so you don't miss it. And as always, stay curious.